Hi, and welcome to Speech 151 Online. My name is Sharon Milan, and I'm here with Nicole and Tiara, and they'll be doing their makeup project on their group panel discussion. To you guys.
Okay. Can you hear me well? Okay. Our topic is why the people of Hawaii should say no to GMO. Hawaii has more experimental field trials of genetic engineering than any state in the nation. GMO foods can present significant allergy risk to people and is linked to an increase of brain cancer in children. Our group members have come together to discuss GMO, genetically modified organisms, and its impact on the people of Hawaii. Tiara and I will be presenting on this issue. So first, we'd like to start explaining what is GMO. A genetically modified organism is a bacterium, yeast, insect, plant, fish, or mammal whose genetic material has been altered using several different genetic engineering techniques. Genetic modification involves mutation, insertion, or deletion of genes. And this is all done by attaching genes to a virus, physically inserting the extra DNA into the nucleus of the intended host, introducing the DNA into the organism through an electric pulse, or insertion through a gene gun. Genetic modification often mixes or adds proteins that weren't indigenous to the original plant or animal, causing new allergic reactions in the human body. The goal of genetic engineering is said to give the new organism new characteristics, some positive, such as disease resistance. Although GMO foods have several benefits to your health and the well-being of farming, it prevents several drawbacks. So Tiara, explain to us why this is such a relevant issue.
What I got from why this is important in stopping GMO on Kauai, it's because they're spraying pesticides near, their pesticide fields are near schools on Kauai, and students and staff have regularly reported that they've had unsettling chemical fuel-like smells coinciding like immediately or shortly after pesticides are sprayed in the agriculture lands that are near the schools. And in November 2006, after school staff witnessed an application of pesticides by Syngenta on the adjacent fields, over 60 students reported to the health room complaining of severe headaches, nausea, disorientation, and flu-like symptoms.
I'm going to go over we will both be going over some past actions to rid GMO, the harms of genetically modified organisms, and solutions and possible alternative routes to this situation. Pesticide use by GMO companies on Kauai. This is a little overview of history and what we've been doing. From approximately 2010 to 2012, there's been 18 tons of restricted use pesticides that has been sprayed on our lands. 3,000 permits have been granted by the USDA for field trials of GE crops in Hawaii, and that's more than any state in the nation, which is pretty crazy considering how small Hawaii is. BASF, Dow, these are all the companies. Pioneer, DuPont, Monsanto, Syngenta are all using the Hawaiian Islands as test sites for the genetically engineered crops and pesticides. Over 3 years, Pioneer has administered pesticides on 67% of fields on the west of Kauai. And I believe there's a case that we've been presently dealing with. It's versus the Waimea residents versus the Pioneer, which was done in December 13, 2011. Syngenta, Pioneer, DuPont, Dow, they all inhabit close to all the agricultural land in West Kauai. That's about 12,000 acres, which sustains schools, churches, hospitals, and homes. So the area where they're spraying, it's really dangerous and hazardous to our people. And, GMO activities have increased pesticide use by 404 million pounds between 1996 and 2011. So now we will go over some of the health issues. Kiara?
Okay. So the information that I got for the health issues is some of the health-harming pesticides applied on the GE test fields are exposed to the neighboring communities to health threats ranging from acute poisonings to long-term effects like getting cancer or birth defects and learning disabilities. In a study that the University of Hawaii researched, they found that there was pesticides in the air and outside of schools in every sample taken detect at 3 different school sites over a 2-year period on Kauai. Most frequently detected pesticides were chloropyrifos. It's a drift-prone chemical, so it's an air, and it's increasingly linked to harmful impacts on children's developing brains and nervous systems. Waimea Canyon Middle School was one of the sites where chloropyrifos was detected, which is located about 100 yards from test fields owned by Syngenta. Atrazine and endocrine is a disrupting herbicide, which was also found in a water sample from the school's drinking fountain that the kids used. This sample was conducted in February 2011 by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And in recent years, atrazine has been detected several times in Kauai water supplies.
And there are, we'll be discussing some of the causes of the problems on Kauai. Or, I'm sorry, some of the aftermath issues that come from spraying GMO near people, homes, schools. I believe it's section 3.
What was that?
Part 3.
Uh-huh.
I believe portion.
Okay. Sorry, I'm a little bit lost in all of my papers.
Are you guys starting the past action?
Yeah, yours.
Yeah. Past actions that have been taken on Kauai were the Kauai County Council introduces Bill 2491, which is now called Ordinance 960. It's a bill that would force farmers to disclose pesticide use and regulate farmers who grow genetically modified crops. It also creates buffer zones between fields sprayed with pesticides and schools, parks, medical facilities, and private residences. In Hawaii, there's no laws regulating that, saying that these big agriculture companies need to let the public know what is being sprayed and how much. There's no law. That's why the county council came up with this. And soon after this law passed, 3 big GMO agro companies, Pioneer, DuPont, Syngenta, and Adrasynix, filed a lawsuit in a federal court in Honolulu trying to block the Kauai County's new GMO regulatory law. And some solutions for this, for an alternative route. Or did you have anything to say, Nicole, for this part?
No, I don't. I know that the county of Kauai, our mayor denied the bill.
Yeah.
And what's the word I'm trying to say? Presently, Maui actually just got it passed. So we're still in the bind, but I personally feel as though that we've been for so long eating and growing genetically modified foods that I think the big problem is basically the spraying. And other than that, it would be a preference whether you want to, indulge in that kind of agricultural growing.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it, and that basically sums up our presentation on saying no
I have
to
some
GMO.
solutions to show.
Unless you want to add. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I researched like one solution that Kauai could maybe try to do that another little county did just like ours. They did ecological farming, which it enables communities to produce enough food to feed themselves, and it also fosters a future for healthy farming and healthy food to all people. So how it works basically is it's a mix of different crops and plants variety in a given field that's reliable proving ecological farming method. They also use organic pest control instead of using chemical pesticides. Ecological farmers are using non-polluting long-term pest protection, so it's healthier for your food, so we're not eating all this pesticide things and people don't get sick from having it sprayed all over your crops and stuff. And some of the natural fertilizers that could be used for this farming technique could be using compost, and some people use animal feces, like animal poop, because that enriches your soil. And using natural fertilizer will save farmers the cost for and eliminates the need for artificial inputs for your crop. And that's all I got for that solution, which is ecological farming, which I think would be a great idea for Kauai to do.
Basically, also maybe expanding on our farmers markets that locally grown produce being sold around the island. I know there's only a couple right now, but if we went and did it more often, or even the local farmers worked with food stores to have their produce being sold from stores.
Buy more local foods.
Yes, spreading that word could possibly slowly eliminate foods that are genetically enhanced.
Yeah.
And I believe that's our take on this issue. Do you have any input for us?
Well, you're not quite done. So you've gone through the causes and the harms, the causes, and the past actions. You've talked about a couple things that could be done. But what I need to know is how you and Tiara are going to solve the problem. I mean, what are you guys going to do about it? Or
personally?
Yeah, I mean, as a group, as a action committee, as a team of people trying to make our island better, how are you?
I shared the solution. I shared my part in my solution, how I would think to fix it.
Well, that's great that it's on the outline, but what the rest of the project is about is the two of you talking and figuring out. First of all, you've got to take the 3 criteria that I assigned you and figure out which solution is going to work best for those 3 criteria, and then you've got to do the implementation stage, which has 5 steps. Actually, 4 steps. Sorry. Do you have that in front of you? On the assignment sheet.
I don't.
So the
Well, for our solutions, I believe we both agree, and I don't know if we didn't explain it broadly enough, but since on Kauai the bill didn't get passed, basically now we're going to have to work as a community to do what we can in a smaller sense to broaden the idea of local farming and growing produce, without any chemicals added into it. And by expanding in farmers markets and bringing it out to the people, that's going to be our only way we could possibly get out there.
Yeah.
Unless we get to politics.
Is to list different possible solutions. So, and you've got to see which one is going to lower the harms, work the best, which one is going to be the most cost effective, and which one is the most fair to all of the parties involved. So I never heard any discussion about fairness to Monsanto or the GMO companies or different groups in Kauai. So if you could address those 3 items, that would be great.
Okay, well, I'll just jump in with cost effective. I believe local farming and selling produce from our own personal land would only benefit us, considering the profit's going to go back to the people. In terms of, I'm sorry, what was the last thing you said? In terms of, you said, making it equal for everyone where it's a win-win situation. These big companies will have to just basically, if they're going to continue spraying, they're going to have to spray on land where it's not near or harmful to people or our community, which you would think would be something of some common sense initially, but apparently it's not because it's a big issue. Here, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I pretty much think for the cost-effective thing would be to expand our farmers markets, everyone to try to shop locally. It is better than shopping in the big stores and providing money towards these GMO companies. And also, I would think that they should have buffer zones for the fairness of it because they are making the children sick, and that's what our future generation is. These children are being harmed from these pesticides, so I think that they should really try to use more natural things instead of while these students are at school trying to learn, they're actually getting sick from these pesticides being sprayed in the air and they're drinking it in their water fountain, which I think is really bad.
So if they were...
That's a harm, but what are you guys going to do about it? I mean, how are you going to change things? I mean, you need a plan. Like, are you going to write letter to a certain congressman? Are you going to join up with Gary Hooser? Are you going to go to the county council meetings? Are you going to start an advertising campaign? Are you going to protest? I mean, what is your solution?
Well, I think we would first start off by getting together with the community, the local farmers, the people who are actually involved in growing their own produce and crops and all that, and expand that. Because right now we're doing, we have some farmers markets going on, but yet it's only on a small base. So we want to get the whole island of Kauai to know what's going on, to start their own possibly personal farming, and to buy produce from one another so that we basically profit off each other versus giving all our money to these companies that are in some way harming our community. And in a sense, to change the bigger issue with these big companies, we would probably have to go to some of the county meetings and voice our opinions. Though there are several already opposing and for it, we'd have to state basically why they need to spray in these certain areas that is very distant from learning zones, churches, hospitals, places of common sense where you wouldn't want chemicals to be sprayed around people. And Tiara, you want to add on to what we're going to say at that?
I'm pretty much on the same page as you right now for this solution.
I'm sorry, what was that? I couldn't hear you.
I said I'm pretty much like on the same page as you for this solution.
So are you guys going to start a new movement? Are you going to join up with some one of the past actions that you researched that's already happening?
I believe we are going to expand on the past actions because we have current people doing what we just explained to you, but it's not getting out there. There's so many people are so blind to it or don't care, or so basically spreading the word, not so much being like pushy against, you know, no to GMO and yes to GMO, like just basically a middle basis to where we're giving people the option, but yet we're putting it out there so they know that, you know, the positive aspects if they do want to, you know, give back to their community and buy local produce. And show them how it can be a win-win and it will be better for their futures. I think that's pretty much. Any other questions we did not answer?
Okay, you guys can move on to the implementation steps. So you can talk about how you're going to implement your solution. Remember, there's 4 steps in implementation.
Okay, implementing. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Okay, I didn't really see these steps. I don't see it on the guideline. I must have totally spaced on this, but implementing as to how we're going to draw it out, our plan.
Who's going to do it? How much is it going to cost? How long is it going to take? And will it work? You want me to
Oh.
I'll write those for you.
Okay. Well, it's definitely going to work, for one, because I feel as though people want our community to grow together, and we rather spend money on, locally grown produce than things that are chemically enhanced that are getting people to say, like, oh, the harms are going to make them want to get involved, of course. Cost-wise, I feel as though we're going to save money. So how much do you think, Tiara, we're going to be spending on our new plan of action?
Well, for our new plan, if we're going to be using our natural fertilizers, and like I said, for using organic pest control and animal fertilizer, we could
Wait. I thought you were going to get together with a group of people that already have action. So are these people going to be using fertilizers, or are they going to be doing something to kind of get a group together to take action? So you should only really be talking about the solution here.
I'm talking about the cost for how it's going to be cost effective.
Okay. I'm not really clear how the cost of the fertilizer would play into the cost of the
Because I'm talking about the organic pesticides also. That's what the big companies are using. So it'll be fair.
So your plan was to get together with a group that's already working to stop the GMOs. I mean, is that group, are you going to partner with a group that's buying fertilizer? Or I want to know how much your plan is going to cost and what the group's going to do. Are they going to write letters, political letters? Are they going to protest? Are they going to try to put a law together?
I don't know so much if letters are going to do any good by now, because we just elected a new mayor and we know what his siding of the issue was. So basically, trying to fight it in a political sense, I don't believe we're going to really get anywhere, honestly. I think as though the people have to work on their own, come together. Right now there are some local farmers who are aiding with their produce, and people are joining in on these farmers markets and buying local, but we would join in and spread the word so there would be more people getting involved, more people growing their own produce, more people getting involved in selling at the farmers markets and spreading the word to people to come and buy. And that's how we would start. We would want to basically work off one another versus writing these letters that probably will be read and tossed to our mayor and the county council.
So what you want to do is you want to start a community action group of people that are actually growing to create maybe a better product so that you can get the community to buy these local organic foods. Is that your plan?
Yes, that's our plan. Considering how long it takes things to actually get passed through legislation, and how long it took us already just to get denied. These corporations are still going to continue to do what they were doing. So it seems like at a loss of that battle. But if we personally want to start and better ourselves and spread the word, that's where we have to pick off of, I think.
Okay, so let's hear more about that plan. That sounds like a plan that could get some momentum. So let's hear about that.
Because I really don't think that there's any negative or downside on it, in a sense where the economy, it's a big market, so whatever we're doing, it's going to aid to the economy, and money is going to be flowing, whether we're selling it, it's coming back to us, whether people choose. People are always going to have the option to go to produce stores and still buy those genetically enhanced, foods. It's just going to be on a basis of opinion and how well we portray it out to the people to work together with us on our plan. And I think that basically we can't force people to side with us, but we could put the word out and show them, how it's going to benefit us. And I believe it does, it does benefit if just common sense wise, you're growing off the land you live on, you're selling it, and you're receiving money from your neighbor, and it's a big cycle. So we're recycling the idea, and we're spreading the wealth, which is a good way to look at it. And what else would you like to know about our plan? Because I feel like we're kind of scraping the barrel on this. But
Tiara, you have anything to add, or you guys finished?
I think we're done.
Okay. All right. Well, good job, guys.
But were there areas of this where you don't feel as though we touched, or we want to kind of explain everything we can without leaving you?
It just seemed like you're a little underprepared for the scope of the project. You had some research and definitely some opinions, but the whole point of this project is to get into the complexities and the difficulties with it and then come up with a real plan that we could implement. And so I think because especially the past actions areas was really, really weak, you didn't really look at what kinds of movements in detail that have happened or what kinds of problems have happened with the plans, and you hadn't really thought too much about what the two of you could do to make a difference. And that's typical. A lot of my groups want to say, well, someone else can solve the problem. Well, the county council should do this, or the farmers should do that. But what a lot of this project is about teaching is to help you to understand your role in how you can make a difference in our local society. And I just didn't feel like you had enough details there to really formulate a comprehensive plan. So, I thought you both spoke well, did nonverbals. I could hear both you had good volume. There was also some passion and some research. There was a little bit of lack of source citations. I was really unclear in the beginning what exactly your question was. Maybe you could restate that for me. What was the initial question? The question? Yeah.
Basically, why the people of Kauai. It was why the people of Kauai should say no to genetically modified organisms, or GMO.
Okay, so
this was saying. Oh.
This was a discussion. So that what you've given me is more of a persuasive statement. You really shouldn't be taking a side on this issue. Your question should be what can be done to reduce spraying of GMOs. And so I didn't really feel that you had based it off of that question and opened it up as a discussion. You basically had research that supported a particular point of view, and you wanted to tell us, what to do with it. But the goal of this project was to lay things out and discuss them and find a solution that would be beneficial to all parties involved. I never really heard much discussion about both sides. It seemed to be really just in favor of the farmers. The people that were anti-GMO, which, is understandable, but the goal of the project was to look at all of the parties involved and try to find a solution that would work. And I think one of the problems with your solution is that the GMO companies are probably just going to keep buying up more land and exporting their products or doing more seed research. So whatever land that the local farmers have will be limited and will be a very small scale, and also that produce might be influenced by the spraying of the surrounding farms, GMO farms. So I think it was a little limited. It's a great idea, but the scope of the discussion was a little weak. So, and I understand there's only two of you. You guys will pass, don't worry. But I don't think that you clearly. Did you watch some of the other presentations?
Yeah, I watched a few of them.
Yeah. So I guess the first thing was, the not having the clear question to start with. So, but I know you guys are just trying to make this up and get through the class.
Yeah.
You'll pass this
I thought that Alyssa would be joining in, so we would have at least one more person, but she didn't come.
Yeah. Was the extra week helpful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to find a little bit more information that I wanted to present.
Yeah. You had some good research, so that was good. And you had a really good, strong, passionate delivery of that research. I just think, this is a project that requires a little more time than you guys have been putting into it.
Yeah.
But it'll get you through the class, and I think let's see, do you have any more projects, Tiara?
Yeah, I'm gonna do my